Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Land Use and Transportation Committee on Tuesday, February the 3rd. Our first is a roll call, and I can see that all members are present, so we have a quorum to proceed. Our second item of business is our consent agenda. Item 2A, minutes from the Land Use and Transportation January 6, 2026 regular meeting, and 2B, payment of bills and transfers. May I get a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by Member Fagan, second by Member Leffler. Any questions or concerns? You do? Go ahead.
Jerry, on there was a Bonnell Industries for $42K. Can you refresh my memory what that's?
So that is 2 snowplows.
Oh, okay.
We were actually supposed to get them a lot earlier than what we did, but yeah, they just came in there first part of January.
And then $13K to Childers for.
We had a door redone on our north shed there.
And then B&W Tree Service.
Yeah, so we're looking to do a resurfacing project through Danvers. And so there was about 7 trees that were good size that we used them to take those down.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll be approving the consent agenda, minutes and payment of bills and transfer. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, this passed unanimously. We'll move on to appearances by members of the public and county employees. Administrator Taylor.
Thank you, Chair Klein. We do have one request for appearance by member of the public this morning, Jonathan Thompson. Jonathan, if you want to come up to this podium, you will have 5 minutes to speak. And
Right.
it's pretty informal, but.
Yeah, I see that. More people standing up here than over here. So
Yes. Bring your friends next time.
Yeah, so my name's obviously Jonathan Thompson. I farm west here of Bloomington, and we farm Danvers, Stanford type area. But my kids go to Cornerstone, and you know, I noticed it was like bad, that road, once you get past Benjamin School, that subdivision right there, it gets really bad. And especially there was a day in December that was just really, really bad. And I remember my wife calling me too, and just like, I don't even feel comfortable. This is like, I can hardly like drive, because that road, like it curves down to the ditch really bad. Like you're like trying to, it's the ones that pulls you into the ditch. And I have a lot of people talk about that, but and then it's really it's all crushed along the edge. It's probably like farmers as well, but I know a lot of farmers on the east side, and they said, yeah, that road is just terrible, and it needs to be widened. And I talked to one of the people at Cornerstone, and it was brought up to the board, or you guys, or maybe it was informally said, but in 2020. And then when I called the township, I think it's Aerosmith right there, or that whatever that area is, they said that it's part on the 1 to 5 year plan. And I know a couple of the in McLean County drivers, and then I know 3 or 4 of the county board members, and I just talked to one of those, and he realized that too. But you know, it was brought out in 2020 and part of the 1 to 5 year plan, and it's like now it's 2026. And then I noticed, because I couldn't make it the last meeting, one of the guys said that it's in the 1 to 5 year plan again. So now we're going into 6 years, and then it's like, oh, it's going to be what, potentially another 5 more years. There's 530 kids that go there. You're talking 300 plus vehicles, and I know it's a private school, and it's like it's a school that like not everybody can afford. You know, it's but like almost everybody lives in McLean County, and almost everybody's come from the west. Very few come from the west, from the west, and it is it's just so scary doing that. And like, we're all paying the same taxes. You know, can't do we don't have a voucher or anything like that. Plus the average school pupil within McLean County is about $12,000 to about $15,000, and we're not getting any of that. We're paying, you know, that too, and it's just like more of just a safety. You know, what bothers me is there's so many like instances where something like because there's been 2 bad accidents on that road on the school there over the past 5 years, and so it's like, can we just fix that before somebody like dies? Because there's so many times where someone dies and it's like, oh, let's go fix this right away. Like, let's just prevent that from happening. I think they said it was going to be around a $5 million project to go from Benjamin all the way to the Aerosmith Road, which is another 2 miles or something, maybe more than that. I never go that direction. But it's just like we're paying, if you add up, apart from preschool, so say 450 students there that aren't preschool, and we're, you know, saving the McLean County like $6 million, basically, if that's a cost of what it would cost take them to public school, and that's just 1 year. And so I just think that should be a priority, is that many kids. I mean, it's crazy that 30 minutes there in the morning, at night, and it's scary. And then you got 16-year-olds that are driving, and I mean, I have 4 kids, 3 I'm taking there. It did pull you to the right really hard. You know those, I mean, I know those countries roads. I drive in one of the tractors and stuff, but this is just a main road for these kids. And it's just like 1 more mile, and it would help so much and just feel a lot safer. And I just think that should be a priority, not another 5 years, more like this summer. So I've got a lot of other people that could come. I mean, I could get a petition for hundreds of people. I just figured I'd just come here and talk about it. That's what I'm saying, so.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thompson. We'll ask Jerry to talk about that in his part of the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you
Sounds
so
good.
much. We'll move on to departmental matters. 4A1, Jerry Stokes. Your first item, 4A1A, request approval of a resolution for the January 20th, 2026 material letting. May I get a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by Member Bessler, second by Member Duffy.
So this is our culvert letting that we do almost every year. I think last time we did it was actually in 2024, and we just carried the pricing through 25. And so contact Engineered Solutions. They make the pipe in Metamora. Was a low bidder, and basically this kind of sets the price for these different types of culverts that we use throughout the year, and so we're not going to be spending all this money that's allocated here. We're just kind of setting prices, and then once we size the culverts, depending on the size of the culvert, then we have that price established already, and so this price is also used by a lot of the townships that buy the culverts from us as well, or they can buy it directly from Metal Culverts, and they'll deliver it anywhere in the county to the townships or wherever we need it.
Does anyone have any questions about this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll be voting on 4A1A, request approval of a resolution for the January 20th, 2026 material letting. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll move on to 4A1B, request approval of a resolution from January 27, 2026, project letting. Can I get a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by Member Reeves, second by Member Leffler.
So, we had a letting here last week before a couple projects. The first one's resurfacing in town Leroy. And so that'd just be a mill and fill there with a little bit of curb work. And so Row Construction was the low bidder on that project. And then the second project was a township bridge in Martin Township. And so this is going to be paid out of the Township Bridge Fund. And so it's 100% funded by the Township Bridge Fund. So the county or the township doesn't have to put any funds into that. And so Stark Excavating was the low bidder on that project.
Does anyone have any questions about this item? Okay, so we'll be voting on 4A1B, request approval of a resolution from January 27, 2026, project letting. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. We'll move to 4A1C, request approval of highway and matching fund resolutions for Leroy School Road, CH 40, section 25-00029-06-R6. May I get a motion to put that on the floor? Motion by member Leffler, second by member Fagan.
So this is another project that we're looking to do here in 2026, and so it actually it starts kind of where the project that we just approved for in-town Leroy, and it starts there and heads out towards Sabina. And so this is like one of the oldest hot mix pavements that we have. Last time it was resurfaced was in 1993, and so we've done quite a bit of maintenance work over the years on this. But this is going to be a cold in place recycle project, similar to what we did on Stringtown Road last year, where we till up the existing road and add some emulsion or foamed asphalt into it. And then once that cures out, then we'll put hot mix back on top of that. So it'll end up being a 80,000 pound route when it's all said and done. And so we're looking to have this out for bid here at the end of February.
Does anyone have any questions about this item? Okay, we'll be voting on 4A1C, request approval of highway matching fund resolution for Leroy School Road, CH 40, section 25-0029-06RS. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. We'll move to 4A1D, request approval of the updated stormwater management plan to the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency for the MS4 permit. I'll get a motion to put that on the floor. Motion by member Bessler, second by member Duffy.
Yeah, this is our stormwater management plan, and Luke kind of handles a lot of this stuff, so I'm going to probably let him run with this.
Thank you. Yes, so we have to send this in once every 5 years to the Illinois EPA. They will approve it, and then what we do in the subsequent years is we submit annual reports and permits for the MS4 for the county to allow us to do various drainage work that we don't have to individually submit permits for. So this just covers our whole county for drainage-related work.
Anyone have any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Reeves.
When you say drainage, is this surface water, subsurface?
Surface water.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote on 4A1D, request approval of an updated stormwater management plan for the Illinois EPA for MS4 permit. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. So we'll go to other items. If you have a slideshow, but also if you could address in some way the speaker's questions.
Sure. Yeah, I don't have any pictures today or anything like that. So, right, yeah. Yeah, so I appreciate Mr. Thompson's comments there, and yeah, we're aware of the kind of the problems we have out there on that road, and it is definitely been something that's been on our radar for years. I don't know. We had met with Cornerstone, I think, back in like 2022, and kind of talked to them about that as well, because in order to make this safer, we feel that we need to have like a turn lane that goes into Cornerstone to accommodate some of this traffic and everything. And so we actually have a meeting set up with them here in a couple of weeks to try to iron out some more details and see what if they can hopefully provide some funding for that turn lane and that type of stuff. But yeah, these projects, they take a while to get started and also to complete. This project is going to be similar to what we're doing on Hudson West this year, and so that's a 2-mile project that's $6 million what it ends up costing us, and that's just a construction cost. That doesn't include the all of the engineering fees and the right of way that goes into that. And so, we started that, and that project was on our radar for a while. And we started that project in 2022, and here it is 2026, and we're just now finally, being able to construct it. But in prior years, when we had the additional Rebuild Illinois funds, we were able to redo the Meadows Road north of Lexington, which was around 5 to 6 miles. And then the following year, we did the Horse Farm Road. And these were projects where we did full reconstruction. And so yeah, Ireland Grove is kind of the next one on our list. And I know, and it has been pushed back over the years, probably more because of funding. And so, and I think once we are starting to look into this, and maybe our next step is to get an engineering firm on board, at least start to design, so that way, you know, if additional funding does come available, that we would have the plans ready to go. Because last year IDOT did a local roads funding plan where we ended up getting a lot of the money for some of the bike trail projects here in the county. But, you know, this could be another project if we had it, you know, ready to go, and then we could look into doing that, or there's safety funds that we could look into for construction side of things. But, you know, it's going to take at least a year to design it and probably another year to get all the right of way and then whatever utility work needs to be done. So, I mean, yeah, we need to start the work now, but it's not something that's going to be able to get done in the next couple of years.
Jerry, if I could just for point of clarification, so the speaker was talking about this quality of the road, and you were focused on a turn lane. Are these two separate issues that need to be addressed simultaneously?
Yes, yeah, the road is, so it's an oil and ship road, so it's really crowned in the middle, like a lot of the oil and ship roads we have. And so that means that it's the grade, the cross slope isn't is steep, and so it does pull over it doesn't pull you off the road, but it is steep, so you have to stay on the road.
So
And
it requires a full reconstruction, is that?
yes,
saying?
yeah, there's going to have to be some profile adjustments, and yeah, it's going to be a full reconstruction. And then the turn lane would be a part of the overall project is with that.
Are there any remedial steps that we could take to lessen the safety risks in the meantime, while we wait for
We
this
could look
process?
into those. You know, there might be, you know, where we could do something to the shoulder or beef up the shoulders, or if it is too steep, maybe we can go out there and put some temporary, you know, or not temporary, but put some hot mix down to kind of alleviate the grade on it. But the problem is where do you start and stop doing that? And then that adds a lot of cost to our maintenance side of things. Mm-hmm. And once we do a reconstruction, then it would actually be a hot mix road once it's all said and done. So it'd be similar to our other roads that we've upgraded.
I appreciate that you're going to be meeting with them. If you would kind of report back next month, you know, about how that went. And
Sure.
I do think it's, speaking only for myself, I think it's a smart idea to start the engineering, and at least, because sometimes pots of money fall from the sky and we can apply for different grants and other things. But if we aren't ready, then we can't take advantage. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions. Go ahead, Member Reed.
On the other roads we've done, we've always done, I believe, a safety shoulder if it's leading to a school. With a private school, would that be eligible for that, Jerry?
Yeah, it really doesn't have nothing. We kind of use the schools when we're applying for like safety funds. We kind of use the school as, you know, kind of that we have younger drivers and that the safety shoulders are a benefit. But yeah, we wouldn't. I don't think we'd really change that it was a private school. We would just say that there's a school located out there, and that we would want to provide safety shoulders at least out to the school.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? I appreciate you talking about that with us, Jerry. And
Sure.
We'll see where it goes. All right, thank you so much. We'll move on to 4B, Phil Dick. We have 4B1A, request by the Land Use and Transportation Committee for a text amendment of the zoning ordinance to amend the use table and use standards for data centers. This request for a text amendment would go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a public hearing. I need a motion to put that on the floor. Motion by Member Reeves, second by Member Fagan. I can turn it over to you, but I'm ready to talk about it if you want. If there's anything you want to say, Phil, first.
I just wanted to add that it first was approved in October, and it was kind of as a placeholder, and it was really the only use standard was noise limits established by the Illinois Pollution Control Board. And then when we had this a discussion with several county board members that you organized, we added these other use standards that are underlined here. And we also decided that it wasn't very appropriate to have these in the agriculture district. So it'll be not allowed there. It'll be only allowed in the M1 and the M2 districts. But that's essentially what the differentiation of it. And I know Mr. Bessler was concerned about having solar or wind attached to these uses, but the problem with that is your data storage would be more in the industrialized area, and the other solar and wind would be more in the agricultural area. And the solar and wind are compatible with agriculture, and the data storage isn't necessarily. But I'll yield to you.
I'm sure you can help answer questions, but I just thought before we actually talk about the text, I would tell you how we got here. And I asked Phil to put on the screen for us how we have defined battery energy storage, but did you have the data center text as well? The data center?
I misspoke, I meant battery storage.
Okay, that's okay. So I can read that aloud if people want, but before we talk about the draft, I wanted to say a few words about the approach to data center work that the work group took in drafting this proposed language. The goal of the work group, which included myself, Jim Rogal, and Adam Reeves, was to create zoning language that gives the county meaningful oversight while remaining flexible enough to deal with a rapidly changing industry. One of the first things that we discussed was that data centers are not a single uniform type of development. They range from very small or modular facilities to very large hyperscale operations, and the technology and engineering behind them evolves very quickly. Because of that, we were cautious about trying to be overly prescriptive or write static code that might either miss important differences between projects or quickly become outdated. Instead, the draft that you see in the packet is organized around categories of information and performance standards: screening and lighting, road access, emergency planning, water use, power demand, battery storage, and noise compliance. The intent is to require applicants to clearly document the impacts of their specific proposal and to give the Zoning Board of Appeals and the County Board the ability to evaluate each project on its own terms, based on its size, technology, location, and potential impacts. In addition to the language under consideration, as Phil has already said, I wanted to note an important change in the placeholder language that the board approved back in October. At that time, we required the special use permit for data centers in zoned A, agriculture, C, commercial, and then B, both M1 and M2, which are general manufacturing zoning districts. As we continued our work and heard concerns about compatibility and land use, we revised that approach. In the current draft, data centers will be considered for permitting only in M1 and M2 districts, which are manufacturing and industrial scale districts. The intent here is to further limit where these facilities may be considered, to better align them with the areas already designated for industrial scale uses, and to reduce the likelihood of siting conflicts in agricultural or commercial zones. I've been asked by a few county board members and constituents about whether the county planned to ban data centers outright. There are varying opinions about this option, but from my vantage point, the difficulty begins with the broad, commonly understood definition of data centers. It is a very, very broad definition that which we have approved. There are already small data centers operating in Bloomington. There are 2 under operation, and I'm told there might be a 3rd. Coming, and there are small-scale or modular facilities that technically meet the definition of data center in our code, but don't carry the same environmental, energy, or safety implications that the hyperscale developments do. Some of those smaller facilities we may deem to be acceptable in certain contexts. So rather than assuming all data centers are the same, this text amendment is designed to ensure that any data center, regardless of size, receives careful scrutiny and clear oversight by us. It preserves local decision-making authority and gives the county the tools it needs to distinguish between projects that may be appropriate and those that are not, based on concrete reviewable criteria. So that's my explanation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Obviously, this is draft language, and we're happy to entertain any changes or concerns people have. Go ahead, Member Bessler.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to first say thank you for putting the work team together and to Phil for providing some additional insight. The reason for my concern with data centers is from a lot of folks that have talked to me, there's obvious concerns with electricity usage, and they've seen bills go up, especially in the recent year or two. And I want to make sure that large data centers, and I understand that the data center definition can change. I think this is a good starting point, but I think in the future, I would like to see additional language added to clarify what a larger data center would be in terms of whether it's size or energy usage, and put some requirements for them to put energy back or electricity back into the grid through solar panels. I think wind would be a challenge, like you said. But I do think solar is an opportunity to integrate that to add more supply, because we do have a supply and demand problem. And I don't want to see data centers increase residential electric bills because they're sucking up all the supply on the electric side. So that's my concern. Like I said, great starting point. Just would like to see additional language in the future.
Thank you, Member Bessler. Phil, would you, addressing this issue, we talked about this a little bit as a group, to what extent can zoning regulate energy use? Or is that industry regulation, right? So what is the limit of zoning code in this conversation?
I think that we're trying to address that in subsection 6 here in the ordinance. The amount of electricity and the source of electricity for the facility shall be provided. So that would give us the opportunity to get information as to how much electricity will be used and where they'll get it. And if they will provide it, we will find that out. And if they have a relationship with the solar provider, that would come out. So it's basically to try to figure out that it would or would not be a draw to too much electricity from our grid.
I suppose my question is sort of mostly the limit of zoning code when it comes to what sort of sounds like to me is industry regulation, right? Because zoning is not, is it in our purview to limit things like that, to say you have to put, you cannot draw more than X amount of energy or things like that? Or is that zoning, or is that something outside of our authority?
I think that what we would do in the terms of zoning is to try to get the information of what is going to be required. And then a policy decision could be made as to how much could be, whether or not this thing should be approved given and how much it's demanding.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Members?
Maybe just to follow, the policy established by whom? Would it be the zoning?
The zoning would make a recommendation, but it would be the final decision of the county board to approve that.
Yeah. I think generally the most questions I hear regarding data centers are water use, power use. It's very similar questions, so I'm glad you had the discussion in terms of who makes the decision, or where is a decision made that that's the appropriate amount of power and water to pull from local communities. I don't know if there's a clear answer on that one yet, other than we're going to ask them to provide. So that policy component, I think, is important for us to continue to explore who sets the kind of the ground rules in terms of what's appropriate.
And one of a couple of the things that we researched with regard to water and electric uses is certain types of facilities require more water and they require less electricity. And others require less water because they're closed loop systems, but they might require more electricity. So it kind of depends on what's being proposed. And to some extent, you can't necessarily create an ordinance that doesn't allow a particular use. You have to have some procedure whereby they can apply for a use that is a reasonable use. And so that's one reason we took it out of the agriculture district. There are some counties in Illinois that are building these big data centers in the middle of the agriculture district across the road from a solar farm. And McLean County has not gone that way. We've restricted non-farm residential, non-farm development in the rural area for years, and so we would like to have those uses more in an urban area. But I think to some extent what we need to do is in their application, we need to find out what they're proposing to do and then evaluate that.
And I, just to sort of repeat, the goal here is to give the Zoning Board of Appeals and the County Board the greatest latitude to make those judgment calls, project by project. When you get overly specific and then they meet those specifications, and you are less able to make judgment calls, right? So that's the goal here of the broadness, is to give us the chance to decide, give us the latitude until the state of Illinois takes it away from us, right? So, because oftentimes those thresholds come really from state law. You say policy, it's oftentimes state law, and at least now there aren't any. I mean, there's a new session just started, so who knows, but. Any additional questions or, go ahead. You do your microphone.
In regards to, I think the subsection basically stated will be provided. What's meant from will be provided? Does it will provide basically their specs, or will it provide the impacts on the available energy from a grid perspective, from a water source perspective? And if it doesn't provide that, how do we as a board get that information so we can make those informed decisions? That's where my mind's at in terms of, someone's gonna have to educate us on that, and where does that come from?
Sure. I'm sure Phil can answer this too, but during the hearing process, the Zoning Board of Appeals, the zoning board members have the ability to ask those questions, but so do we. We can stand up as witnesses and ask questions, and they need to respond. So we would just have to participate in that process and ask those questions. I think probably the zoning board members will likely do that already, but we can be present and ask those questions and demand those answers, and then we can then take that into consideration at the time of our county board vote.
And just for clarification, it doesn't say will be provided, it says shall be provided.
But project by project, we can ask those questions, because some questions will be appropriate for the size of the project and others not. You know. Any further questions or comments? Okay, then we'll move on to voting. This is 4B1A, request by the Land Use and Transportation Committee for a text amendment to the zoning ordinance to amend the use table and use standards for data centers. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you, Adam and Jim, wherever you are, and Phil for all of that. Do you have anything else you need to add in your other line?
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to 4C, Cassie Taylor, County Administrator.
I have nothing for this committee this morning. Thank you.
Music to our ears. We'll move at 4.2, other business and communication. Our next committee meeting will be Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026 at 8:30. Do any members have anything they need to or want to say or announce? Okay, seeing none, we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you so much.